How's it going, everyone? It is true, I had to quit the PCT. I am officially off the trail. In my last video, which was from Lake Tahoe, I think I had described that I was gonna have to try and skip around the Dixie Fire again. I went into Reno, Nevada for one night. I stayed at a casino there, which had a really cool view from the window of my room. And not a big gambler though, so I didn't do any gambling. But anyways, the next day I took a shuttle up to Susanville, and then my plan was to get on in Chester. And when I was on the road in the shuttle up to Susanville, I just started seeing a lot of smoke. And that's when I started getting kind of a bad feeling that maybe I was making the wrong decision trying to get back on the trail. And when I got to Susanville, I'm talking like, man, you could see just huge smoke everywhere. You could really smell it. There was little ash particles raining down in the city. And I tried to book a hotel because I was like, man, I don't think it's safe to camp. I was gonna camp in Chester, and Chester was west of Susanville. So I was like, I don't think I'm gonna head closer to the smoke and camp there tonight. So I was like, I'll just get a hotel here in Susanville. And when I went to book a hotel there, the first one I went to was, they had lost power. And I was like, oh great. So now is this like a dangerous situation just being in the city? I didn't really know. So I ended up getting a different hotel, which had power when I booked it, but then they lost power later that night. So it was like no AC or anything, but that's besides the point. Basically, the next day I ended up just hitchhiking back down to Reno, and that's kind of when I decided to call this through hike, was in Susanville. I was like, man, it's just not worth it to me. I mean, I grew up in the East. We don't have huge wildfires like this. Growing up in Tennessee, we don't have like massive wildfires, so, at least not yet, which is a scary thought because there's just so much green, so many trees out here. And I wonder if the East, I don't know, this is kind of a side thought, but I just wonder if their day is coming to when the East has a really dry summer. I mean, it could be really bad really quick. Let's hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, I ended up throwing in the towel, man. I decided it's just not worth it to me, and I don't want to try and hide behind the fires either. I think my desire to do this trail was not nearly at the level of my desire to finish the AT. I don't think I was as committed to completing this through hike. But yeah, from Susanville, I hitchhiked back down to Reno, and later that night, I ended up getting a flight back home to Tennessee. And actually from the plane taking off in Reno, I could see the fires from the air.
Please join us in our efforts to comply with the federal mask mandate and safely care for one another by quickly replacing your face covering over your nose and mouth after briefly taking a bite of food or a sip of your drink. If there's anything we can do to make your flight more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Fires are just something that you're gonna have to deal with if you're gonna be hiking in the West, and that's something that I knew, but I didn't know I was gonna be dealing with, like, you know, mega fires, as they call them. Like the Dixie Fire right now is the largest fire in California's history. So it's just creating so much smoke. I mean, the views are, really smoky views. I mean, I don't want to harm my lungs. And I just can't imagine being out in the wilderness and waking up in the morning with just smoke everywhere and not knowing if it's safe to proceed or not, and trying to communicate with people. I mean, your loved ones would be super worried about you if you're like, hey, can you look up this and see if it's safe? Like, it's just not worth it to me, man. I wanna hike in optimum conditions. You can't do that on a thru hike. It's really difficult. I'm not trying to hide behind the fires. There's still people out on the trail doing a thru hike, and I'm not trying to put myself above them either. I'm not trying to say like, oh, I got off trail and I think all the thru hikers out there should. I'm not trying to play that game at all. There's guys that are just more determined to do the PCT than I am. So kudos to them. I wish them the best of luck, and I hope they make it. For me, it's kind of like this thru hike was over in the Sierra, right when I got that altitude sickness. I had already been off the trail for like about 3 weeks. So just moving around a lot, kind of feeling very much alone and away from the hiking community. There was a lot that went into me making my decision. It's not something like that I just made overnight. I had already spent, time in Yosemite, San Francisco, Lake Tahoe, and then just hopping around in the Sierra, getting to Yosemite. So, I think my last day on trail was around like July 4th, and I didn't make it home until like July 21st, I think. And today is August 12th. Well, it's actually the 10th, but I'm gonna release this on the 12th. Basically, man, I had just had enough of thru hiking this year. The PCT, I think it's a really tough trail, logistically, and then fires, heat. I don't know, I don't wanna like be that typical thru hike vlogger that's just whining about it. I'm really happy with the experience that I had on the trail. I am super grateful and super privileged to have gone out there, hiked 600 plus miles of the PCT, and yeah, man, it was incredible. Met a lot of really amazing people. And I sort of came to love the desert. I kind of went into the desert knowing that I don't do well in those environments. Living out in Arizona for 2 years, I learned that I don't take the heat very well. Some people, you ever meet somebody in the desert, you're just like dying and somebody just waltzes by you, hey, how's it going? And you're like, dude, how the hell are you not dying right now? I just feel like I overheat so quickly, and I don't know, maybe I'm built more for cold weather, just being as pasty as I am. But yeah, I knew that going in it, but then I started learning how to really love it. And the early mornings and the late evenings, the desert just comes alive. The sky is incredible. It starts to cool off, or it's cool from overnight, and I actually really enjoyed night hiking a lot. Some of the most incredible nights I've had on trail were hiking through the desert at night. And really, like, just the night sky is incredible. And, twisting around a turn, how sometimes the trail will kind of switch back? You're really paying attention to the stars in the night sky, and you can really see how people in the past would really use those to navigate. It's something we don't even think about. Like, people don't even think about the constellations at all. But hiking through the desert at night on the PCT, especially all that openness, that was something I really enjoyed. So maybe I will return to the desert. I don't know, kind of just talking about it, like, man, maybe the desert was pretty cool. Maybe not so hot. That's something I would recommend for anybody who's watched these vlogs who's planning to do the PCT. I would not recommend you start in May. If I had started in April this year, it would have been so much, I don't know, it would have been so much better, I think, for me. Or like an early April start date, I think is perfect. And if the Sierra gets a lot of snow, then you just skip it and come back. Or you do a flip-flop. I don't know about, like, you can do a May start date. We had a really hot year, so maybe next year won't be as hot. But I think if you're gonna get a May start date, you should just expect that you're gonna skip, or be prepared to skip. And when it gets too hot, man, get out of the desert, man. It was just too dangerous. Some of those days that I had towards the end of my time in the desert were really scary, like really too hot. Just coming into town like with no sleep. I mean, you can't sleep when it's 100 degrees in the shade. You can't sleep in that, and that's the time you're supposed to sleep after hiking all night. It was just not fun. I love backpacking, but I felt like the PCT was potentially gonna ruin backpacking for me. Having to push through like heat, smoke, fires. I don't want to think about that when I'm thinking about backpacking or going on a trip. I want to think about like a beautiful day, like that I had, one of the best days that I had. That's what brings me back to these long trips. And I think somewhere in the ballpark of like 2 months is a perfect happy medium for a long backpacking trip for me. Maybe that's getting lesser and lesser the older I get, who knows. But yeah, I don't want to drone on about this, man. This is my I quit video. I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't do it. Last thing I want to do is just say thanks to all of you who watch these videos and subscribe to the channel and have been leaving comments. You know, sometimes in town, feeling a little down, I would read a lot of the comments that you guys have left, and it was a really big pick-me-up for me. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. And I hope you'll stay tuned. I do plan on making more videos, as I have been doing. The next video that I'll put out is gonna be a what's in my pack video. I said I would do that. I think I said I would do that at the beginning. I would make my original what's in my pack video and then sort of see how my gear has changed, which it did change quite a bit. And yeah, there'll definitely be more videos. I'm not entirely sure what's next for this channel. But again, thanks for watching, everybody, and hope to see you next time.